Okay, got my Bible, of course. All right. Ooh, that was probably really loud. Well, hi there. Welcome to Mudwalkers. My name is Chris. If you'd like to support me financially, check out the link in the description for Patreon. Yeah, so whenever we're talking about the Bible and nudism, one of the things that comes up is the book of Revelation. People say, oh, well, we're going to wear clothes in heaven, so why should we be naked now? Where does it say we're going to wear clothes in heaven? And they also say, oh, well, Jesus is wearing clothes right now in heaven, so shouldn't we follow his example? Well, let's take a look. Interestingly enough, I studied the book of Revelation in seminary recently, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what my professor said, who is almost definitely a textile, and who is giving, pretty mainstream interpretations of Revelation. So, I turned to see the voice that was speaking to me, and on turning I saw 7 golden lampstands, and in the midst of the lampstands was one like a son of man, clothed with a long robe and with a golden sash around his chest. The hairs of his head were white, like white wool, like snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like burnished bronze refined in a furnace, and his voice was like the roar of many waters. In his right hand he held 7 stars. From his mouth came a sharp, two-edged sword, and his face was like the sun shining in full strength. So, what my professor said when we read this passage was that Jesus' garb, his appearance here, pretty much every single aspect of his appearance is symbolic of something. What he is the divine high priest. He's wearing a very long type of robe that reached all the way to his ankles. He's got this golden sash that goes across his chest. He's wearing priestly clothing. So he's here as a mediator between God and man. This isn't just clothing for the sake of clothing. This isn't just something that he's wearing. He is dressed as a priest. It's telling you what his role is. Then let's look at, supposedly, what we will wear in heaven. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so there's this grand celebration at the end of the book of Revelation where the bride of the Lamb comes. And there's this poem that is said about the Lamb. It says, Hallelujah, for the Lord our God, the Almighty, reigns. Let us rejoice and exult and give him the glory, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. That's us. It is granted to her to clothe herself with fine linen, bright and pure. Now, the book of Revelation is notoriously difficult to interpret because it's not designed to be understood. I know. I have a particular view of Revelation and you have yours, and we can agree to disagree on a lot of it. That's okay. Not everyone needs to agree with me theologically. But me personally, having gone through seminary and studied the book of Revelation, at this end of my particular study on Revelation, my conclusion is that it's not designed to be understood. Part of that is that even John didn't understand it. So, the visions in general don't give us explicit insight into what the symbolic imagery means. But here we get quite an uncharacteristic look behind the curtain. It says, it was granted to her to clothe herself with fine linen. And then in parentheses, because the fine linen is the righteous deeds of the saints. So it is granted to the bride to wear good works as her bridal attire. So unless we think that people's behavior gets turned into physical objects in the spirit world, which I highly doubt, this is again another symbol. And what the author is doing here is telling us this is what the symbol means. That the great splendor of the bride comes not from physical clothing, but from our standing before Yahweh as his obedient servants, as his people, his chosen people, the new Israel, as Christians, as God's people from across the ages and across the nations in all times. Our great standing before him does not stand on some kind of garment that we wear, but in who we are to him. Our obedience to him is what matters. So, again, what I usually find with these passages is that people put a lot of stock into them against nudism, and then I study them and I find that they're not actually relevant to the question. Regardless of what we will wear in heaven, it's not said that it's mandatory. Let's even say that it's literal, that it's actually physical linen clothing. Okay, number one, this would have been skirts, gentlemen, not pants. So get ready to wear a dress. But also, there's nothing here saying that it's mandatory. The big question, if it's so important, why isn't there a rule? It says it was granted to her to wear these clothes. Not that she was forced to wear, not that she was required to wear, but it was granted to her. So even if we take it kind of in the way that textiles want to take this, it just doesn't say everything that they needed to say to get this kind of rule. If I continue from here, I'm just going to be rambling, so I think we know what time it is. This episode of Mudwalkers is brought to you by Nature Him, Todd, Jacob, Brian, Jay Sweets, Edward, John S., Skating Aimlessly, Joseph, Charlie, Lionheart, Liam, Adam, Edward T., Nate, Seaberryman, Shane, Jay Good, Cyan, Reese, John W., Clifton, Darian, the other John S., Vino22, Trev, Jeremy, and Scott. Guys, thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. I can't thank you enough for what you do. You're keeping my work sustainable. You're keeping these avenues of content open to me. I'm facing opportunities right now. I'm receiving opportunities right now in my life for opportunities to make bigger and better content because of your support. This is going to help Mudwalkers grow so much, and I'm excited about where we're going. So if you would like to become a patron, there's a link down below to the Patreon page. There's a $5 tier and a $10 tier. Both tiers get early access to all my videos. I have a scheduling system that I use. So I actually will shoot the video, like I'm doing right now. Then I will go home and I'll edit it and I'll upload it to YouTube sometimes a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month in advance. And then the video will just sit there. Well, the only people that can see that video until it actually releases, however long later, is the patrons. As soon as that video goes up, the patrons have access to that video, but no one else. So if you want to catch my videos early, you can be a $5 patron or a $10 patron. Go away, bugs. Anyhow, the $10 tier also gets access to a Zoom hangout with me and my other patrons. It's a great chance for us to have a big circular conversation where everyone gets to talk and share stories, and just in general, hang out. And we've had a couple of those Zoom hangouts already. We've got more coming very soon, and I couldn't be more excited about them. I cannot wait to do the next Zoom hangout. It's, honestly, I think that's my favorite part of having this Patreon page, is having the Zoom hangouts. Really getting to interact with you guys on a deep level is so cool. With that, I'm going to wrap the video up right there. Thanks for watching. I'll end the video here, and I will see you in the next one.